Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sometimes and Forever with me, Denny Downing. So, Prince Harry is being sued by Dr. Sophie Chandaka, the head of his former charity centre Bali. On the heels of that, he and his wife went on a tour of Australia, which has sparked a lot of conversation because some people are asking, what was that for? Then he went to Ukraine and he gave an interview to ITV in which he said that he thinks he's still a member of the royal family. And in a way, he's right. He will always be a royal, but there's a lot of controversy around that. But it's like a never-ending TV show with the Sussexes, don't you think? I find it fascinating just how much attention they garner and how much news they can generate, good or bad. Well, they've certainly generated a lot of critics over the years. They are always headlining for, some would say, the wrong reasons. Now, if you know your history, you will know that there was another member of the British royal family who has gained just as much, possibly even more attention than Prince Harry. Well, I'm going to say that he has gained more attention than Prince Harry because we're still talking about him today. And so I thought that today would be a good day for us to look back at this royal and share with you 9 similarities that I have found between him and Prince Harry. Who is this royal? Do you want to take a guess? No, it's not King Edward, who abdicated in order to marry Wallis Simpson. I'm actually talking about King Henry VIII. King Henry VIII still fascinates and tantalizes us even after all of these many centuries. And so in today's episode of Sometimes and Forever, we are going to make history meet the headlines, and we're going to make a surprising comparison between these two very different but oddly similar men. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, and King Henry VIII of England. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, how ridiculous, let me assure you that I am well aware that one is a modern royal who walked away from his duties, while the other is a Tudor king infamous for marrying 6 wives, 3 of whom he beheaded. He also started the English Reformation, making himself head of the Church of England. But stay with me, because when we peel back all the centuries, we are going to see that these 2 second sons share more in common than you might expect. I promise you're going to love it. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Similarity number 1. Prince Harry and King Henry share a birth name. Prince Harry's real name is Henry, and King Henry VIII, well, he's Henry too. Similarity number 2. They are both second sons, spares to the heirs. None of them were or are expected to inherit the crown, though they both received an excellent education. In fact, they were raised to be intelligent princes. They were not raised with the pressure of kingship, nor the protection of the clarity of purpose that often shapes a firstborn's life. Interestingly enough, this is something that Tom Bower mentioned in his new book, Betrayal. I don't know if you had a chance to read, but I read it, and I'm going to share my thoughts with you in the future. But just for now, I just want to share with you something that Tom Bower says in this book. He wrote, and I quote, "Caring for the spare had been beyond the royal institution's agenda. Unlike the Queen's careful nurturing of William as the future monarch, eyewitnesses recall that she had been patronizing toward Harry. One palace official even admitted that the younger brother was pathologically oppressed." This is saying to me that there wasn't a very clear place for Prince Harry within the royal family, except, of course, for him to be a prince of the realm. Prince Harry became known as a spare, a phrase that has taken on its own weight in recent years. I must admit, though, that I do not like that word spare when it's applied to a person. In my humble opinion, it's demeaning. No one is a spare. I believe everyone has a place in the world, and I'm sure you do too. So to be perfectly honest, I was disappointed to see that Harry used that word as the title for his memoir. But we can talk about that at another time because it says something. Let's get back to our comparison between King Henry and Prince Harry. As the second son, King Henry VIII grew up in the shadow of his older brother, Prince Arthur. Arthur was a golden boy, the crown prince. But when Arthur died unexpectedly, young Henry's entire life changed overnight. So both King Henry and Prince Harry grew up in the shadow of a brother destined for the throne. Both were admired and scrutinized, yet they were never fully at the center of anything. And like I said, that's fine. Nobody has to be the center of anything. Similarity number 3 is found in their brothers. Now, here's something very interesting. Both their brothers married women named Catherine. Prince Arthur married Catherine of Aragon, the Spanish princess, who was the daughter of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabel of Spain. Prince William did something a little different. He didn't marry a woman who was born a princess or even born into royalty, but many say she was born for the role. Catherine Middleton, the first child for her family, has conducted herself with such grace and poise that you can't help but admire her. She is now the Princess of Wales, the Queen in waiting. Similarity number 4. Both Prince Harry and King Henry lost their mothers when they were very young. This is a very deeply human connection that I am sure many can understand and empathize with. Prince Harry was just 12 years old when Princess Diana died. Her death and the media circus around it shaped so much of who he became. You can hear the grief, the rage, and sometimes even confusion in him when he talks about the death of his mother, even now, so many decades after the event. King Henry VIII was a little younger than Harry when he lost his mother, Elizabeth of York. He was just 11 years old. While less is known about his emotional state at the time, the impact of her death, especially on somebody so young, cannot be underestimated. And we can imagine, we can assume that it must have shaped who he later became. So both princes suffered tragedy when they were young. Similarity number 5. Both Prince Harry and King Henry were adored by the public. Both were loved in a way that felt pure and almost symbolic. This is when they were younger. Please bear that in mind. When he was younger, the media enjoyed the antics of Prince Harry. He was the people's prince, the fun one, the one who was seen as the most down-to-earth. At one point, he was almost as popular as the Queen herself. But now everything has changed. With his many court battles against the media and his fight with Dr. Sophie Chandaka, it seems that he is a vindictive kind of person. You know, he seems like one of those kinds of persons who doesn't let anything go. He blamed the media for the death of his mother, and he's not letting it go. He didn't like the fact that Dr. Chandaka disagreed with him about the operation of Centre Bali, and he tried to have her dismissed. So he doesn't let anything go. King Henry, too, was the Golden Prince when he was younger. He was tall of stature with strong muscular features that were remarked on all over Europe. But he became a tyrant, and by the end of his reign, many of his subjects were executed on his request because they displeased him or went against his royal beliefs in some way. And his once handsome features? Well, over the years, he lost those. He became obese. He had a sore that festered and stank, and his rosebud lips, well, those became permanently pinched in anger. Similarity number 6 is found in the women they married. Now here's where things get especially fascinating. Both men married women who were and are, in the eyes of some, problematic. Henry fell in love with Anne Boleyn, a woman who divided the Tudor court. Meghan Markle, too, is a divisive figure. Anne Boleyn was intelligent, opinionated, ambitious, a reformer in her religious persuasions. In other words, you could say that she challenged the status quo, and people hated her for it. So different was she that toward the end of their marriage, King Henry went so far as to accuse her of bewitching him. Can you imagine that? He claimed that she had done something to him to make him love her. Meghan Markle has been criticized not just for what she does, but for who she is. She too stepped into the royal fold and refused to conform. And while no one has gone so far as to accuse her of bewitching Prince Harry, people have accused her of controlling him. She is the mastermind behind the changes that are now so evident in the prince. Tom Bower, again in his book Betrayal, has written that even Queen Camilla has commented on this because she remarked that Harry changed since he got together with Meghan. So here we see her exerting control over Prince Harry. Both Anne and Meghan brought their own sense of identity into the royal family, and both paid a price. Though thankfully, Meghan's fate has been far kinder than Anne's. Meghan has not been executed by her husband, although one could argue that Meghan is being torn apart by the media. Similarity number 7. Both Prince Harry and King Henry were loved and hated at the height of their popularity. But when they chose love over duty, they became targets. For King Henry, the break with Rome to marry Anne Boleyn shattered his reputation. For Harry, the decision to leave royal life with Meghan and then turn around and talk so much about it destroyed his relationship with not just the British public, but his own family. Number 8. Both men have daughters named Elizabeth. King Henry's daughter with Anne was Elizabeth. She it was who went on to become Queen Elizabeth I, possibly the most popular monarch in all of British history. Meghan and Harry's daughter is called Lilibet, which is a variation of Elizabeth, after a fashion. The name comes from Harry's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, who when she was a child couldn't pronounce her own name. It came out on her baby tongue as Lilibet, and it stuck. It was a private moniker used by only close family members, and I'm gonna assume that also her friends called her Lilibet. But Harry and Meghan decided to use the name for their daughter, so Lilibet is Elizabeth. Similarity number 9. The final similarity I have found between Prince Harry and King Henry is with their wives once more. Both their wives have or had fathers named Thomas. How uncanny is that? Anne Boleyn's father was named Thomas Boleyn, and he was willing to testify against his daughter to save his own neck. He saw the way things were going. He knew that Anne was going down, and he was not going to go down with her. So he was willing to tell the court anything they wanted to hear in order to save his own life. That was not very fatherly of him. Thomas Markle, like Thomas Boleyn, is willing to talk to anybody about his daughter. He has been singing to the media whenever and wherever he gets the chance. I do not agree with that. I do not think that that's very fatherly. Do you notice that King Charles says nothing about Prince Harry? Have you ever wondered why? We can talk about that at another time. But I do believe that whatever is going on between the father and the daughter is a very private matter. It's not for public consumption, and it should remain such. For better or for worse, both Prince Harry and King Henry have insisted on choosing for themselves, right or wrong. They've acted with their own personal convictions, and their choices have changed history. So what do you think? What do you make of these two parallels? 2 second sons, 2 grieving boys, 2 charming men who challenged their roles and married women who did the same. Of course, Prince Harry is no King Henry. He hasn't dissolved a religion or beheaded a spouse. But their stories, 5 centuries apart, remind us that history rhymes, and that history is not behind us. It's all around us. Thank you so much for joining me on Sometimes and Forever. If you enjoyed today's episode, please go ahead and subscribe. Share it with someone who you think might enjoy it as well, and do leave me a comment. It does help others to find the show. Until next time, I'm Denny Downing. Thank you so much for watching.